Okay, we're live. So, hey everybody, Melinda Russell with Women's Motorsports Network, the International Women's Motorsports Association, Racing Girls Rock Podcast, and the Women's Motorsports Network News Magazine. And now we've added to the list, Brett, thanks to you, we've got a new name. Um, Let's Talk Racing. So this show is going to be called Let's Talk Racing because we're going to be live. So it gives you the opportunity to get on, to chat with us, to ask questions, all those kinds of things. So feel free to get on and ask and talk to our guests that we're going to have. And so we encourage you to do that for sure. And if you don't know my co-host here, his name's Brett Timmerman. Brett's daughter Adriana is a dirt racer, and you'll learn a lot more about her as we go because we always talk about our kids and our grandkids, don't we, Brett? I mean, exactly. So, but tonight we're lucky. We've actually are going to have a couple different guests on. One of them, our first guest, is going to be Taylor Kuehl. Taylor, I'm going to bring you in. There she is.
Hi.
So, hi,
Okay.
Taylor. I followed
Hi.
Taylor for probably maybe a couple years, Taylor, maybe longer, and have followed her racing and what she's been up to, and she just keeps expanding her horizons, what she's doing, and her successes. And so we're just going to talk to you a little bit, Taylor, about your race career and where you've been. And so why don't you first tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got into racing, that kind of thing.
All right. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm from Cave Creek, Arizona. I got into racing when I was 5. I started in asphalt go-karts. It's something that my dad got me into. His brother raced as a kid, and my dad started racing when he was 30. So he had my brother and I racing at 4 and 5. So we started pretty young. He got out of racing, and he's just helped and supported us ever since. And I've been traveling a lot. I've gotten into bigger classes. You and I met, Melinda, probably in 2015 at Canyon Speedway when I was racing mod lights. And now I'm in sport mods, and I'm currently in Iowa racing.
Exactly. Brett, you have some questions for her?
So Taylor, what we know you race in Arizona a lot over the winter, but what makes a girl your age decide that she's just going to come to Iowa on her own, no family help, and race around the Iowa tracks on your own?
I'm super independent, so I kind of like being alone. I also really enjoy working on my car, so it works pretty well for me. I've learned a lot, and I mostly came here to challenge myself and get better because the competition for modified racing here is top notch. So it's a challenge for me, and I definitely can see improvement within the last 2 years, being here last summer and this summer again.
How hard is it for you to be here without like what's the biggest thing you've had to do mechanical wise on your car while you're over here?
I'd say last summer in Iowa, we had to change the rear end all around, put a new one in. We had to take it out twice, and that was probably the longest process, but everything is fairly easy. The sport mod class here is kind of rough, but it is everywhere around the country. So it's a beginner's class into modified racing. So some people, their equipment, I guess they have entry level equipment and they're just trying to get started. So a lot of the people in my class, they wreck a lot. So I think every week the maintenance and fixing things is probably the hardest.
So when you're over in Iowa, do you stay in a hotel? Do you have a place you stay?
Yeah, I'm actually staying in a house right now. Yep, and I have a shop that I work out of and keep my stuff at. It's really nice.
It seems like you get a lot of support from other drivers and car owners. I've been watching your page a lot, and they're putting you in their cars like you're racing a stock car for somebody. And did I just see you're going to be in a modified? Was that?
Yeah, hopefully next year I can move up to a modified. It's a pretty big step. The technology is so advanced, so I'd love to do that if I get the opportunity, and if this year goes how we plan. And I try to be a respectful driver so that I can get those opportunities. And obviously, working hard is a big part in racing. If you're not spending a lot of your time working on your car, learning, watching videos, and just studying the art of racing, then you're not going to get better.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's hard to get that instilled in a person's head, that the life of racing isn't just show up to the track every week. You got to be in the garage every day. It's basically a second job. I mean,
Yep. Yeah, that's what I tell everyone. It's a part-time job,
for
at
sure.
least.
Do you?
It's a it's a
Go.
part-time job that you pay for instead of it paying you.
Yep.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years in your racing career? What's your goals?
Honestly, I just want to get in something like modified or late model racing and have it all paid for. That's probably the hardest thing to keep up with is the money, because racing isn't cheap by any means. And if you want to be competitive and have the best equipment, then you got to be spending money. So if I can have a good backing, I have a great backing right now, but if I can get everything paid for, then that would be awesome. Then I can have all the fun I want without having to worry about what's next.
Yeah, expenses are definitely a big. They make you worry a lot in racing.
Yeah.
You never feel like you have enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you want to share who your sponsors are?
Yeah, we got a couple new ones on board. I got GSI Towing. They're out of Wisconsin. CD Farms out of Indiana. And then we have a lot of good sponsors who have supported me for the last couple years, or even when I started dirt racing and mod lights. On board, we have Carl Customs, Bob Harris Enterprises, Lighthouse Painting, Yuma Insurance, Winning Edge Carburetors, Dynamic Drivelines, A1 Materials. He's out of Arizona, and he's been a longtime friend and sponsor, and I really appreciate what all these people do for me. I go 3 hours away from home even and race in Yuma, and there's Big Bob's Flooring, Ed Whitehead's Tire Pros, a lot of people around the state of Arizona and around the country that really help my program keep going.
What's
Yeah.
the?
So, go ahead.
Emily. No, you go.
I saw you at Yuma.
Yep.
Watched your race, which was a lot of fun. That was a fun track to go to, and hopefully we'll get to go back and see you race in person there again. So, how what is the difference between like the racing out west and the racing in the Midwest? Is there a lot of things that are different, or really racing's racing is pretty much the same everywhere?
Really, I'd say the tracks and how they race are a lot different. The surfaces and the dirt and how they change throughout the night, it's a lot different. And I think the racetracks in Arizona, they're stop and go, they're pretty slow and they're dry. So you've got to work slow on the pedal. And then the racetracks here in Iowa, most of the time they're heavy and they're really fast. So you're always on the gas. And even when they do slow down and they start drying out, you still are pretty hard on it.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. What's your biggest win you've had?
A couple weeks ago, I won at Boone Speedway here in Boone, Iowa. I raced the IMCA Frostbusters, and that pretty much kicks off the racing season here in Iowa.
So Boone is a tough track to tame. Yeah, I ran there at Boone Super Nationals when I raced in 2010, and it's a pretty tough track. But that's a great accomplishment for you to get a feature win there. Was that your first one at Boone?
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. That's a tough competition area for sure.
Yep. Yep. That's what. Coming here to Boone and racing weekly, that's been my goal for a really long time, and I've been dreaming of coming here for years. So to make it happen last year is really exciting, and you have the best race car drivers from around the country all come to one spot in September for the Super Nationals and compete for that big win.
Have you raced the Super Nationals?
Yep, I did for the first time in 2020, and then I raced it last year. And both years, I really didn't have great luck. Last year, I know I could have made the show, but things just didn't work out. But I think everything happens for a reason, and maybe this year it'll go better.
Well, we sure hope so. I know Boone is luck of the draw for the Super Nationals. If you don't get the best
Yeah.
farm, they farm about every 10 races. So I always got stuck on the greasy tracks, so it was really hard to advance.
Coming here to Boone and Oops, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Trying to share our podcast.
That's good. That's what we want you to do.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing about being a race car driver?
My favorite part about racing is the adrenaline while I'm actually racing on the track in the car. And it's definitely a mind game. You're thinking about 100 different things at one time. So that's really exciting no matter what's happening on the track. And I think just inspiring little kids to get into it and put their hard work into it, because it's awesome to see kids come up in racing and just see what they can do from scratch.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a good mentor for the younger kids, you know, especially where it's impressive to see you work on your car, because I know Brett will tell you, and, you know, from being at the racetrack too, a lot of even boys don't work on their cars as much as maybe they need to or they should. And being able to come out to Iowa and depend on yourself. And I know you have people that step in and help, and especially at the racetrack, you know, when they see you there and you're by yourself and you only have one or two people helping you, whatever, people come over and help you out, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of offers. Hey, if you ever need anything, stop by our pit, come by our shop, bring your car to the shop, whatever. There's a lot of good people in racing, and pretty much everywhere I go, I can find someone if I really need something. And even at the shop in Boone, there's a lot of people around to help me if I ever need it.
That's good. So Christian Carver said, would you ever race the Chili Bowl, being it's a dirt race?
I did this year. It was something new for me. I've never raced anything open wheel, so it was really hard. It took me a while to get the hang of it, and of course they don't give you a lot of practice laps. I was supposed to practice a midget a couple weeks before, and it didn't end up happening, so being thrown into the Chili Bowl is really hard if you don't know what you're doing.
So why don't you tell a little bit about how you got that ride? Because didn't you ride for somebody?
Yeah, I raced for Mark Birch and the Team Jack Foundation. So it was really cool to work with those guys. They know what they're doing, and they were really good at explaining everything and kind of walking me through how everything works, because I've never even sat in a midget before that. So I found a post that Lori Cutter tagged me in on Facebook, and it was Mark offering a ride for the Chili Bowl. And so I figured, hey, I'll just throw him an email, kind of research Team Jack and see what this is about and see if that's something that I would want to represent. And of course, there's only good things that come from Team Jack. So I was really interested in that. I shot him an email and it all worked out. We got to talking and we made it all work. And when I got to the Chili Bowl, Mark and Don Drow Jr. were there, and they helped me with everything. And of course, Don Drow Jr. is a name in midget racing, so it was cool to learn from those guys.
What's 2022 look like for the Chili Bowl? Is Taylor Kuehl going back?
I don't know. I think more realistic would be the Tulsa shootout. I think there's a little bit more cars there, but I think I can get a ride in Arizona and get more practice laps to be a little bit more comfortable going into that.
Is the Tulsa shootouts more lean towards like the micros, not midgets, right?
Yep.
So people that don't know what you do, like in Iowa, who pulls your truck and trailer for you, and what do you have for equip their truck and trailer?
So I bought 2021 in January, I bought a Ford F-250. So that's my truck, and I used one of my dad's 24-foot trailers to pull my car. So I tow it everywhere. I load it. I have a guy that meets me at the racetrack that helps me there. But yeah, I'm pretty much riding solo everywhere I go.
That's cool to see. I mean, it's inspiring for, a lot of women think they can't do stuff on their own like that. And when they see you doing stuff like that, I'm sure it inspires them to want to
Yep.
become.
Yep. Growing up around guys and having my dad be really hard on me, I think that was really good for me because I have those skills that some other women don't have, but it's definitely doable. And I think everyone can do everything as long as they're interested in it. And if they really want to do it, they will.
So Jason Rickert says, would love to have you at Cedar Lake Speedway for the 5,000 to win B-Mod specials. Have you heard of that? And is that something you'd be interested in doing?
I think I did hear about it. I got a comment on one of my Facebooks, so I added it to my racing schedule. I'll have to check out the logistics of that, and that would be cool to race. If I can travel and I have the means for it and the time, then I definitely would like to make it. I try to make all those specials if I can.
Yeah, the 5,000 would be good, wouldn't it, Brett?
Yeah, that's where the money's at. Specials is where the money's at.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's Taylor Kuehl do during the off time? Like, I know you have to work on your car pretty much every day, but what do you do for your living?
Yep. I'm working at a coffee shop part-time right now, and I also am working to get my real estate license. So I've almost finished up everything for real estate. I just have to apply for a license and take the exam, and then I'll get started with that. So I'm super excited because that's something new for me. So I'll be spending a lot of my time doing that too.
For sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool, Taylor Kuehl.
Yeah, and it definitely helps having a lot of competition in Iowa that knows that I'm getting into real estate, because then I have a lot of connections too around the state, because I'm going to be selling in the state of Iowa.
Right now,
Okay.
it's a good state.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Taylor, from the time you were a little girl, you started racing, and how old are you now? I forget.
I'm 21.
21. So,
Yep.
the big old age of 21. And, you look back and you think, I can't really believe I'm doing what I'm doing. A lot of girls are doing things way different than you. When you were in high school, did a lot of your friends race, or were you pretty much the only girl in your friendship group that raced, or how does that? Because I talk to a lot of girls, and a lot of times they are kind of singled out because they don't have a lot of friends that race. So how did that work for you?
Yeah, I think all through high school, especially senior year, I was really focused on racing. So I would miss all the school events, the football games, the parties that people were throwing at their house. I would miss all that so I could go racing. So I did miss a lot of that time with a couple friends that I had in high school, but really all my friends were at the racetrack. I invited my girlfriends out to the racetrack every once in a while, and some of them would come out, but they don't really understand it because they're not so into it. So it was kind of hard for me to relate with anyone in high school about it, and pretty much growing up too. And I don't think anyone else in my high school did that kind of stuff. I think there was a couple guys who raced dirt bikes, and that's about the closest thing.
Now, your brother used to race. Does he still race?
Yeah, he does. He races modifieds.
And he races in Arizona primarily?
Yep.
Okay. So do you want to share a little bit of how he's doing, or would he not want you to share about that?
I don't know. I think he's been really focused on school. He's going to ASU for engineering. He's getting his engineering degree. So he's obviously, that's really hard. So he's been spending a lot of time just trying to get his degree, and I think he's gonna graduate this year and start back up racing. So He does well in Arizona. I think once he gets to get out of school and start racing again, then he's going to be back at it pretty good.
Yeah.
Who's better, you or your brother?
I don't know. I think in the competition is different because we're in different classes, but I would say within my class, I'm probably better than he is within his class. But he's got a couple of years on me, so I bet if I tried to step up to his level, then he'd probably be faster than I am.
So when you go to the track in Iowa, are there very many girls there?
Not really. There's a lot of racers, girlfriends and wives, and moms and sisters, but I think there's probably a handful of other girls that race at the modified stock car tracks that I race at. So I don't see a whole lot. I know there's Adriana, so there's some in quarter midget racing, sprint car racing, but other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot.
The only one I really know about is Leah Roten from Dominator Chassis. I mean, races stock car.
Yeah, she's good. I raced against her last year in the stock car. She's pretty easy to get along with, and she's a good racer. So it's cool to see a lot of new girls get into racing and just pursuing something different than other girls are doing.
Before we end up wrapping up, I got a goal for you when you make it in your career in racing. When you need to have a all women pit crew, it needs to be all women, and you need to dominate.
I like that idea. Yeah, if I can find girls who are inclined to do this kind of work, then that would be awesome. It'd be a lot easier to get along with them and relate to them.
For sure.
Yeah, so Beth Peretta has an IndyCar team, and she had last year when her team raced, it was an all-girl. All the people on the team, you know, the pit crew or whatever, were women. And then years back, and I couldn't tell you how many years ago, but Billy Venerini, that runs in the ARCA series, well-known owner, race car family, he always had a lot of women, and sometimes he had only women. And I talked to him one time and asked him about that, and he said he liked working with the women because they were dedicated, they were organized. Not to say that men can't be, but this is what he said. They were organized, and he said they worked really hard. And so I always thought that was pretty cool that a man involved in that much racing for that many years, you know, preferred the women in many cases over the men. And so there are women out there, Taylor, that when you are rich and famous and you can say, hey, Brett and I can say, hey, we knew her when, but we'll have enough women out there that you can certainly have them on your pit crew. So,
oh yeah, I hope so. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. So I know that, give a shout out to our friend, Brett's friend and my friend, Lori Cutter. She's been a really good supporter of you. I know, Taylor. She went to the Chili Bowl with you, which was fun. I felt really left out. They didn't ask me to go, Brett. I don't know. But I said if you went again, or if you went to the Tulsa Shootout, I'd like to go because I've always wanted to go to that, and I haven't had a chance. So maybe I could be, scrape your tires or do something to help. But that would be.
Keep that in mind.
You keep that in mind. I would love to do that. That would be a lot of fun. So just thought we should give Lori a shout out because I know that she's been a big supporter of you.
Yeah, she's great, and having her go places with me and connect me to new people is really awesome. She's a really good people's person, and she definitely knows what she's doing on that side of things. So she also treats me like family, like I'm someone special to her. So I always appreciate her.
Yeah, I know you are special to her, so that's good for sure. So
yeah.
So Brett, any other questions you might have for Taylor?
Not that I can think of. I guess I do have kind of one question. When you were a teenager racing, mid-teens. How hard was it to give up your teenage years? Like, I know you talked about when you were missing parties when you were a senior and stuff, but
Yep.
how hard was it to give up your good teenage years, like when you first got your license, stuff like that?
I don't think my early years in high school, I really wasn't that serious about racing. I was in Mod Lights. I wasn't really inclined to work on my car. My dad always had to drag me out to the shop to work on my car. So I don't know um, what lit my flame senior year, but that was my start in sport mod racing, and that's when I got really serious and I actually wanted to be more involved in my racing. So um, I really only spent the weekends racing when I was in mod lights in my early years of high school and middle school. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to answer that. I think I was a little bit less involved back then.
If you could go back and now that you know that you're wanting to pursue it as a profession, if you could go back, would you? What do you think you would change?
I definitely would put more effort into it. Working on my car, marketing my racing, myself, our team. I think that would have been really helpful if I got that started younger. I think my dad was trying to get me to do that. I just never really felt like it. I was just I don't know, a lazy teenager. I wanted to do other things. So, yeah, that's definitely something I would change. I would want to do what I'm doing now, but younger.
I know what it's like. I know what it's like that being the dad in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the marketing and the branding is so necessary. I mean, it's for funding. You're talking about getting funding. If people don't know who you are, why would they sponsor you? Why would they follow you? And so the
Right.
more you put yourself out there, and there's a fine line between I like to go to the racetrack on Saturday night and race and blah blah, and then I like doing all this other stuff, or I want to be a racer. I want to be a full-time paid race car driver. And so somewhere along the line, you stepped over from being the casual racer to the I'm serious about this. I want to do this full time, and it's gotten you a long way already in just those short amount of years because you made the decision in your mind that that's what you were going to do.
Yeah, for sure. The more effort I put into it, the more success I find in every area of racing. So that's marketing is definitely a necessary part in it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Taylor, we really appreciate you being on with us and sharing your story. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to share? Where are you going to be racing next? How can people follow you?
Yeah, I post all of my racing stuff on my Facebook page, Taylor Kuehl Racing. Maybe we can tag it in the comments after the show.
Okay.
And I'll be racing around Iowa and surrounding states in the Midwest. We'll be in maybe Missouri, Nebraska. I'll definitely be in Wisconsin in August for 10,000 to win. And there's a couple tours going around Minnesota and South Dakota. So I'll hit all the specials here in the Midwest, and I'll be in Boone and Marshalltown pretty much every week racing. And
Okay.
I'll be in the sport mod and the stock car this year.
All right. Well, hopefully I'll get to watch you when I come out that way for the Sprint Car Nationals or whatever all that is that I'm coming to. So I'll be at Lori's, so hopefully she'll get me where I need to go, and we can come and pit for you that night.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And if we're all at the Nationals, then we can connect and have a good time. I like sprint car racing, too.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. We'd love to do that. Well, Taylor, thank you so much. Brett, any last words?
No, I'll see you at the Pella that Rev and Race Day or whatever that Lori puts on. I'll see you there.
Awesome.
Right.
Gonna get
Sounds
better
good.
every year.
Well, good luck, Taylor. We'll be watching you.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. See ya.
Thank you. Well, that was Taylor Kuehl. She is a very, very dedicated young racer. 21 years old. She moved to Iowa on her own, Brett. I can't even imagine letting my kid go somewhere like that, especially in the world of racing where, I just wouldn't feel comfortable with that. But wow, she just did such a good job, and she's such a dedicated, and you can tell she loves it. She's passionate about it, and she's going to go far. So people need to remember that name for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how her dad does it, because Adriana her dream is to become a professional racer, and I don't know. Me and my wife Erin, we are going to sell everything and travel with her and figure out our way, because there ain't no way I can just let her go be fed to the wolves like that. I know she's capable of it, but that it's a family thing, and it'd be way hard to just let her go.
Yeah, for sure. Well, our other guest is ready to come on, so we're going to bring my friend Michelle into the show. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too. So this is my friend Michelle. Michelle is the owner of Alaska Raceway Park. That is on my bucket list. That track is on my bucket list. My husband and I are coming to Alaska at some point in our life because I want to check that out. So, Michelle, welcome to the show. Would you first tell us a little bit about yourself, and how did you end up owning a racetrack?
Well, I'm Michelle Lackey Maynor with Alaska Raceway Park here. I am the owner and president and doer of all things. I kind of grew up at the track. Our track is a quarter-mile drag strip. We're NHRA sanctioned. We are also a third-mile NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series track with a high bank paved oval. So I raced at the track. I grew up there. I started working there when I had my daughter. I moved away briefly for a period of time, and then we were commuting back and forth. I lived in Fairbanks for a while, which is 6 hours away. And so we were commuting back and forth for a while. And one weekend we were driving home, and my mom had been kind of sick, and they were getting older. They're in their 80s now, but they were kind of, I don't know, probably mid 70s, and they decided, well, what's our exit strategy, right? And we were driving home that weekend, and I was like, it's me. It's got to be me who takes this over, because if we change any of this, if we sell this track to somebody else, it's going to change everything for everybody. It's not, our families run it for so long that it needed to stay that way. And so we, it took us a long time, but we ended up selling our businesses and selling the house. And we finally just closed on the last two pieces that we had up in Fairbanks. So we're down here running the track, and I am I couldn't be more blessed to be doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely. So I know that commute had to be horrendous for you, because that's just 6 hours one way. And then, you're there a couple of days and you got to go back. And that would be the worst part. Going would have been the fun part, because we're going to the racetrack. But then leaving and going back home, and it's like, oh, I really don't want to make this drive. But you did it for how long?
Oh my gosh. I moved up to Fairbanks in 2004. And so we commuted to come down and race every summer since then. And then when we opened the circle track in 2016, Dad kind of gave me the reins and said, here, run this. And I hadn't even been to a circle track race, so I had no idea what I was doing. So then I commuted down for every race, every weekend. We've got 10 events this season. I didn't move into the new house until 2018. So I did that pretty steady for 3 years, and now I don't have to do it anymore.
No, and with the price of gas, thank goodness that you're right there on the property, aren't you? You're very close right there.
Yeah. My house is if you walk, it's a quarter mile to the track, so it's not very far. And even now, I'm like, we still have an RV over here, so I don't have to go home at all.
Now you really are spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So your parents owned the track for a long time, and then you took it over. And so you have drag strip and an oval circle track. So about how many events during the summer, and we'll talk about when summer is for you, but how many events during your race season do you have altogether?
Between the regularly scheduled races and test and tunes, and we've got a couple like specialty races that are kind of more rentals. We have currently 46 events on the schedule.
Wow. And so when does race season start in Alaska, and when does it end?
We actually we start on Mother's Day, which is in a week and a half. And we run through Labor Day, although I did extend the schedule a little bit this year, and we threw a street race in at mid-September, so that way we could kind of, let's try it out and see if it works. And it's either going to be sunny or it's going to be raining, so it's just like every other day.
Right. So what's your, for people who don't know, and that would probably be most of us, what is your weather like in the summer? What's a typical race day weather look like?
On a good day, we're probably mid 70s, maybe mid 80s. Sunshine be super lovely if the wind wasn't blowing, but that happens. We are in a valley, so we're between two mountain ranges, and our weather is very unique. It can be raining everywhere else, and it's not raining at the racetrack, or vice versa, but usually we get lucky with that. And it's not predictable. So, I get a little envious of the tracks that are down in, like the Midwest, and they go, oh, we're canceling the race on Wednesday because it's supposed to rain on Saturday or whatever. And it actually does rain on Saturday. So we don't have that luxury here.
Yeah, I'm sure the mountains mess with
and do the mountains mess with your weather?
They kind of protect us a little bit from the weather that's coming from Anchorage, and so the rain clouds will come up and they'll get behind Pioneer Peak, and then they just stop there, and so it can keep us protected a little bit. It's a beautiful view. I know you've seen it, Melinda, and it's just like nothing else anywhere.
Breathtaking.
And when you get here in person, it's beyond anything that's in the photos. Like you can't do it justice.
No. Spectacular as far as how they look. In fact, the one in Yuma, you sit kind of up high, you look out over these fields, and then there's like hills and nothing compared to what I've seen pictures of your track.
Yeah, it's definitely sorry. It's I don't know, like I've never seen anything like it before, and we're very, very lucky that the gentleman that decided to start this put it where it is and had it go in the direction that it is. So we're making the view better all the time, because now we're pouring concrete walls.
Oh, that's awesome. So you were in the challenge for the $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that go?
We're still in it. The voting period for the Advance My Track Challenge continues till next Friday, May 6th. So you can still go in and vote for your favorite Alaskan racetrack at advancemytrack.com. You get to vote 3 times a day, each day until Friday. Then they're going to narrow it down to the top 6. So fingers crossed we'll get in the top 6. And then there's a shorter period of voting. I think it's 4 days. And they'll narrow it down to the top 3. So the winner of that will get $50,000. Second place is 15, and third place is 10. So we got third place last year, but I'm really hoping for first this year, because 50 grand's a lot of asphalt.
It's a lot of anything for your track, mm-hmm. for sure. So last year the track that won happened to be Berlin Raceway, mm-hmm. which was is not far from me, about an hour. Jeff Striegel runs that track, who works for Motor Racing Network, actually, and I've met him several times, and he's done a great job at that track and using that money for improvements. So I've been voting. I'm going to continue to vote. And I put it up there, advancemytrack.com. I encourage everybody to get on there and vote, and let's get Alaska Raceway Park some money to do whatever you want to do with it. I know you'll use it to good works for sure. So, Brett, do you have any questions for Michelle?
So, Michelle, being NASCAR and NHRA, do you get the like big name drivers? Do you guys have big shows for them, or is it, you just do local sanctioning?
Right now, everything is just local. Canada is kind of silly at the moment, so getting through Canada is a bit of a challenge. So we haven't had any extra people. We used to do jet cars from Canada and have those guys come over, but the border's weird right now. So we haven't had any big names in a long time, but we are doing some major improvements at the drag strip. And for those of you that are into drag racing, that the track is actually, even though we have that beautiful mountain, the track is actually only at 62 feet of elevation. So any time that we're out there doing racing, the chances are good the adjusted air quality is well below sea level, which makes for some really good dense oxygenated air and some fast times. So if we can get the right conditions with the sun and traction and everything like that, we actually have the makings. Oh, there's my track.
Sorry, Brett. I just covered you up with a picture of the track. I didn't know where the picture was going to go because I'm new at this, Michelle. So
yeah, that's okay.
But there's a picture of the track covering Brett's face.
Yes. So we've got the makings for doing some really fast times, and we're improving things greatly at the track. And so I anticipate if we can get some cars to hook up, that we will have some bigger people there. We have had some guest drivers over at the circle track. Jordan Anderson from the Truck Series has been up there. Perry Patino came and raced. We had Kenny Schrader came up once, and he was a guest for us. So we do have some guests that come in. We have extra cars, so if people want to come up and try racing in Alaska, they could do that. But we haven't had, like, we're not going to have a cup race or anything like that. It's just, so it's very spendy. So
let's say somebody wants to come up and race one of your cars. How does that work? Like you said, you have extra cars. So how does that work for somebody?
It depends on the vehicle. We have some guys with some of the bomber cars that I'm sure would be happy to have guest racers come in. We have a gentleman that has a late model that drivers can kind of rent for the weekend. And then we've got some guys that have extra legends. So we have a pretty solid legend class. And so I could, if somebody's interested in it, shoot me an email and I will hook you up with somebody that can help you get in a car. If you come up to the drag strip, my snow machine is there, and you are welcome to take that down the track as long as you bring leathers.
But I have a 16-year-old daughter that races dirt track. It's an open wheel. It looks like a sprint car, but they're go-kart. But
okay.
Her goal is to become professional, in any aspect of racing. Not if anybody offers her anything, she's gonna do it. But we might have to take you up on coming to Alaska sometime and checking it out.
Well, we've got quite a big female driver presence in our sprint car arena up here. So, if you guys make it up, we'll definitely get you into something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Not everybody can say that they've raced in Alaska.
Yeah,
right.
Right. Absolutely. So I heard you say legends. What classes do you run at your track?
We run late models, baby grands, Thunderstock, Bomber Stock, Legends, and last year we added Bandoleros on. We have sprint cars that come in and do stuff occasionally, but they're not a regularly weekly event. The dirt late models come once a season, and they come out and play and have a lot of fun out there. And there's some dirt modifieds from Fairbanks that come down once a year and do it. And then at the drag strip, we have everything from junior dragsters, snow machines, motorcycles, street cars, hot rods, all the way up to nitro funny cars and alcohol dragsters. You name it, we probably have one.
So it seems to me like, and I've known you for a little while now and had talked to you before, and we've actually been to some events together, but I don't feel like I really know that much about people that race in Alaska. So is there a good it sounds like there's a good quantity of people that race. How far would you say they drive to come to your track?
We have drivers that come from Fairbanks every weekend. We've got drivers that are coming up from Seward or Kenai, which is like 4 hours the other direction. So it's all over. A majority of the drivers live here in the valley, but like I said, the people we're kind of it, and they're really dedicated.
That's what I was going to ask you. How many other tracks are there in Alaska? And if there are any, where are they?
So we're the only paved high bank oval. We're the only drag strip. There is a dirt track in Kenai, which is 3-4 hours south. There's a dirt track in Willow, which is almost 2 hours north of us. And then there's the dirt track in Fairbanks. And then there's North Pole Speedway, which is a really small paved oval track. It's more flat, though it's not banked.
Okay. So more tracks than I would have thought, Brett, for the size of the state. Really? Yeah. Because it's not 100% populated. You know what I mean? There's a lot of trees and it's mountains and things in Alaska. So that seems like a good amount of tracks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing about being an owner of a racetrack?
Oh, my favorite thing is the people. I mean, that's why. Sorry, you can make me get all teary, but that's why I do this, is because if we weren't doing this, we wouldn't have this facility, and to be able to provide this place for the people to come and play, for the fans to come and get their fix. I mean, it's that's why I love doing what I'm doing. I love the kids that come and the new kid racers that we've got out there, and the new generations that we're growing and introducing the sport that we love to them, to the fans, and getting everybody hooked up. And I love orchestrating the circus, I guess, getting all the little pieces, parts, and everything to work together so that we can put on this entertainment for our fans and all of our other customers. And it's a lot of work, but I really love doing it. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And so it's that's what kind of makes me tick.
So now I know your family's involved. So who else in your family helps out at the racetrack?
Well, my mom and dad are still helping out with some things. My husband races at the drag strip. My son races at the drag strip. He tried Bandolero last year, but wasn't really into the circle track thing. My daughter races, and she kind of helps me with some stuff behind the scenes. My older brother races the Nitro Funny car, and he's there when I have, oh my gosh, I need stuff. He and Johnny, or my brother John, are like that too. And then it's not just like immediate family, but the whole racetrack family helps out with a lot of things. So we're in the middle of this project. We ripped the guardrail out last fall at the drag strip, and we're putting in a poured concrete wall, which is much safer for everybody involved, especially my drivers that are on motorcycles. We decided we'd also put in a new timing system because the one that we have is 22 years old. So we started putting all this stuff together, and it's a big project. It's $185,000 for me to do these upgrades just at the drag strip, but they're well needed. The track's been there for a long time, and it needs some love too. And we started a kind of a crowdsourced fundraising effort, and the Women's Motorsports Nation is on there. So we started Club 1320, and it was just kind of like well, what the hell, we'll give it a try and see. And so the goal was to try to get 1,320 people to donate $100, which is not really that much money. And then we'd put their name on the wall, and we have cool little stickers and stuff, and I mail out little thank you cards. I am behind on that, so if you donated recently, I haven't got those out yet. But so we started that just to kind of see if people would be interested in helping out, because we are a for-profit business, but we're not obviously making oodles of cash. So we tried it out, and we are just about halfway to our fundraising efforts on that. We have collected just over $54,000 for this project, just from people donating $100, or sometimes they donate more than that. And I'm spearheading this project, but I don't know anything about construction or concrete or electrical or any of that stuff. But I have a drag racer who owns a concrete company, and so he's helping build the wall. And I have racers that are coming out and cutting holes in the beams and stringing the rebar and scraping the track and doing all this stuff, because we're all one big racing family here. And so, sorry.
It's okay. I know it's close to your heart.
Everybody is pitching in and helping because they all want this to succeed too. And when they poured the first wall, the first part of the wall on Monday, and it was just so overwhelming to see that this project's coming true, and we've needed it for such a long time, and it's just so rad. So yeah, it's not just my immediate family that's helping, it's everybody who helps make this thing run, and I couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, for sure. And there's nothing wrong with shedding a tear about something that you're so passionate about, Michelle, because I know you are. And whatever you do at that track helps everybody. And so when you say they pitch in, they come, they're helping, they're helping you, they're helping the track, but they're helping themselves too, because it's for everybody. And so I love that part of it. One of my followers, Dr. Brantley, says, she meant to the racetrack. When you get to the racetrack, does your character change?
Yeah. I think she said when you get in the race car.
Oh, in the race car. Oh, yeah. Should be race car.
I don't know. Maybe a little bit. When you get behind the wheel, of course, it's a little bit different. You still go out and have beers with people after the races are over, but when you're racing, it's definitely different. You're there to win. So,
yeah. Do you, as the person, like maybe that has to make some hard calls? I mean, are you the person that does that? And if so, you're a woman making that call, although you've been around forever and everybody knows that you know what you're doing still. How does that work? Do you get any guff, from that? Or, how hard is it? I mean, I don't like conflict, so I wouldn't want that job of making those tough calls. How do you handle that?
I hate conflict. It's my least favorite part of the job. But it's P.S. I'm at the bank parking lot, so somebody's car alarm just went off. But yeah, that part is the least favorite part of my job. And the first couple years I was running the circle track, I'm not really, I didn't know what I was doing. And to be honest, I mean, I'm learning a lot, but I don't know everything. And, I lean on my employees a lot to kind of help me with stuff like that. But ultimately, at the end of the race day, it comes down to me. And I'm the one who has to explain what it is that we did. I'm the one who gets the text messages and the voicemails and the Facebook and all the rest of the stuff. And so I do get a little bit of there's a couple racers, I guess, that are still not super cool with having a chick in charge, but they're learning to trust me, and I'm learning to trust them, and so it's all kind of coming together.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think you're a pretty fair person and probably very even-tempered most of the times, and so I would guess that they respect you even if they don't always agree with you.
Right. Yeah. And that's, like I said, we're learning each other. The guys at the drag strip have seen me grow up, so they know. And we're learning each other at the circle track. And I talk about track family, and it's like we're a blended family now, like we married in. And so now we've got the circle track racers too. And so we're all learning how to blend together to make our facility the best that we can do it.
Brett, do you have anything you'd like to ask Michelle?
So you're new to the circle track racing. Did you guys build the circle track, or was it there when you accommodated the drag track, or how'd that all come about?
There used to be a circle track here, North Star Speedway, for a long time. They were built in a residential area, and so when they went into business, they kind of irritated some of their neighbors, which ended up succeeding in getting that place closed down. And so that track closed in 2010. And when that closed, then we had this entire group of racers that was displaced, and they had no place to go. Like, you can't take an asphalt late model and just go run it anywhere. And so a couple of the racers worked with my dad, and we got permission to build the circle track. And so in 2016, we opened a brand new NASCAR sanctioned raceway, and it is probably one of the most beautiful, most modern tracks I've been to. I've been to a few, and it's it's not like Charlotte Motor Speedway or Daytona or anything like that, but it's pretty good for a short track.
Yes, for sure.
You guys, worked with the rate. That's the racing world is like family. Like you said earlier, it's like, when one family member's hurting, you're going to do something to help change that hurt. So that's awesome that you guys did that for the racing community.
Yeah, she's a pretty good girl, I'll tell you that. Michelle and I have become friends, and I appreciate that you were willing to be on here with us tonight and share what you've been doing. And I'm going to put that back up. Advance. Here, we want you to vote at advancemytrack.com. Get on there and vote for Alaska Raceway Park.
Mm-hmm.
And May 5th, did you say, is the last day?
May 6th. So next Friday, May 6th is the last day for the first round. And then I will definitely let you guys all know if we make it to round 2, because that's when I'm really going to need everybody to power up and vote the whole time. Okay. But that'll go a long ways to improving the safety and the comfort of the guys and gals and their kids and everybody that's in the pits. We want to make sure everybody's got enough space and place to park, and for keeping everybody safe. So
that's awesome. Well, Michelle, our time's about up, but I just want to let you know I really appreciate your friendship. I appreciate that you were willing to come on. This is a new show, Michelle. This is only the second night that we've had a show. And so I appreciate that you took the time to come on and shared what you've been doing, and we're going to keep voting, I promise.
Awesome. Thank you.
You are on my bucket list. I swear I'm coming to Alaska sooner than later.
$85.
Right on.
We're getting 8 last.
Well, thank you guys very much. Thanks for the StreamYard. I started using this for my Tuesday track talks, and I really like that as well. So
I
it's
do
a good
too.
platform.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks again, and
Thank you.
we'll be following what you're up to.
Okay. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Michelle.
Bye-bye.
Bye. She's amazing. I love that woman. I tell you what, sometimes you just meet somebody, Brett, like us, your family and mine.
Yes.
Sometimes you just meet somebody and you
Yes.
just know that you're connected. And she's just been awesome. She was supportive of the course I wrote for racetracks. She I just love her. I love her to death. And so I wanted her to have a chance, especially to share, because I want her to win that $50,000 for her track. So everybody get on and go to advancemytrack.com and vote for Alaska Raceway Park. So, a couple things, and then, Brett, if you've got some things you want to share here at the end. So one of the things I wanted to remind everybody is we want to share your ups and downs. So if you are a race car driver, or your daughter is, or whatever, let us know how you did over the weekend. And then we'll mention your name, maybe put a little shout out here in the comments. So if you are a race car driver and you want to let us know how you did over the weekend, and you don't have to have won, you could have taken fourth and be like, I finished the best I've ever finished. I finished fourth, or whatever it is. Get on a Facebook page, reach out to me, reach out to Brett Timmerman, say, hey, this is what we did, and we'll try to keep a list of all those, important things that are happening to women in motorsports, and we'll share it here on our live show. And what else, Brett?
Well, we're not just looking for drivers. You can be a mom or a wife or a grandma, anything here, pit crew. We're just looking for women to talk to about racing so that other women get intrigued by it and will join the racing community as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So show number 2, Let's Talk Racing, live show. It went really well. I'm happy with StreamYard. I love the program that you can put all these comments and stuff up here, and I even was able to add a picture, even though I did cover up your face. Sorry about that. So I guess we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll let you know who our guest is going to be for next week. I'm leaving to go back to Michigan tomorrow, so we'll be on the road for probably 3 days in the RV, so pray for us, please, as we travel across the country, and we'll be back in Michigan, and we'll see you then. Thank you, everybody.
She goes, I know who to call to make this happen. So